I'm going to help you with a couple of the limit involving trigonometric functions problems that were on today's homework assignment. The first one, the limit as theta goes to 0, 3 times the sine of theta divided by 2 theta. I'm going to rewrite this just slightly different, separating this coefficient of 3 halves. And now we know that as theta goes to 0, the sine of theta over theta goes to 1. So I have 3 halves times 1, or 3 halves. Second problem. Again, I'm going to rewrite as the sine of theta, and I'm going to rewrite tangent of theta as the sine of theta over cosine of theta. Since that does not have that same form, the limit as theta goes to 0, sine of theta over theta, I'm just going to do some manipulations and see where that takes me. So I'm going to have the sine of theta times the cosine of theta over the sine of theta, and before I try to evaluate the limit, I see that sine of theta over theta can be canceled. I'm left to evaluate the limit as theta goes to 0 of the cosine of theta. As theta goes to 0, cosine of theta goes to 1. So the first two are relatively easy. Let's see what happens with the third problem. Again, I'm just going to do some rewriting of these trig functions. Cotangent I know is defined as cosine of theta over sine of theta. Cosecant of theta is a reciprocal of the sine of theta. Now it looks like I'm going to have a common denominator there. And then this denominator, the cosecant, I'm going to read it right as 1 over the sine of theta. Getting a common denominator for the numerator, I'm left with cosine of theta minus 1 over the sine of theta, divided by theta over the sine of theta. If I'd invert and multiply, these sine thetas would cancel, and I'm left to evaluate the limit as theta goes to 0 of cosine of theta minus 1 divided by theta. And we know, by observation today of the table and the graph, that that's equal to 0. And finally, in this first set, I'm going to do number 4. Factor the numerator. Difference of squares, cosine of theta plus 1 times the cosine of theta minus 1 divided by theta times cosine of theta plus 1. Cosine of theta plus 1 is found in the numerator and the denominator, so I can reduce that. Limit as theta goes to 0, cosine of theta minus 1 over theta, again just as number 3, that's equal to 0.